Rush. Rush is one of the first monsters players encounter indoors. He is the embodiment of speed, chaos, and fear. Rush is a dark entity made up of shadows and distorted faces that flicker in a chaotic stream. His appearance is always accompanied by flickering lights and a characteristic roar that grows louder every second. After that, he swiftly flies through the room, destroying all the lamps in his path. Any player who hasn't hidden in a closet or under a bed dies instantly. According to the lore, Rush is considered a manifestation of the hotel's energy, which cleanses the rooms of the living. Some players believe that he was once an ordinary visitor who got stuck in the endless corridors and eventually became part of the place itself. Rush has no consciousness of his own. He acts instinctively, responding only to the player's presence. His movements are lightning fast, and his behavior is unpredictable. After Rush passes through, the rooms plunge into darkness, leaving behind only the sound of shattered glass and oppressive silence. Ambush. Ambush is one of the most dangerous monsters indoors, similar to Rush but much more aggressive and unpredictable. He is a cluster of green energy streams that constantly swirl, changing shape and creating a deafening roar. His appearance is accompanied by flickering lights, but unlike Rush, he returns several times in a row, forcing players to stay hidden longer. This is the main reason why Ambush kills even experienced players. Many come out too early, thinking the danger has passed. Ambush appears less often than Rush, but his attacks are much stronger. According to the lore, he is a distorted version of Rush, created by the hotel's energy after numerous cleansings. His essence is unstable. Ambush seems to exist between reality and electronic noise, which explains his repeated invasions. After each pass, he leaves behind a feeling of pressure and cold air, as if life itself has been sucked out of the room. Ambush acts faster, louder, and longer than any other monster indoors, and is a symbol of constant anxiety that prevents the player from feeling safe even after escaping. Seek. Seek is one of the most famous and intense monsters indoors. His appearance begins with black liquid dripping down the walls, and then from it forms a large humanoid figure with a single eye. Seek is the embodiment of pursuit, a creature that hunts you without stopping. After the cutscene, the most well-known part of the game begins: the chase. The corridors turn into a maze with obstacles, doors, and traps. To survive, you need to carefully look at the doors with a shine. It's a hint where to run next. You shouldn't turn into random passages. Most of them lead to dead ends. In narrow corridors, you have to duck under Seek's arms or crawl through openings, not stopping for a second. If you don't know where to run, follow the light. It always shows the right way. According to the lore, Seek is the observer of the hotel, a being that tests players who have gone too far. His eye symbolizes constant surveillance, and the chase itself is a test of your endurance. If you survived after meeting him, it means you truly deserve to move on. Figure. Figure is, without a doubt, the scariest monster indoors. While others just scare with sounds or speed, Figure intimidates through sheer presence. He appears in the 50th and 100th rooms, and that's always the moment when even experienced players start to get nervous. Figure is a tall, thin creature covered in dark skin, resembling muscles without skin. He has no eyes, so he relies entirely on sound. And that's the most important thing to know. Any of your movements, even quiet footsteps, can cost you your life. The main rule: never run or jump. If you need to pass by him, crouch and move slowly. When Figure gets too close, hide in a closet and wait until he leaves. But don't forget, when you're inside, a minigame starts where you have to press buttons rhythmically. Don't miss the moment, or he will find you. To get through the library, you need to collect all the books with codes without making any noise. Figure reacts even to opening drawers and footsteps near walls. It's better to use the sounds of his own footsteps to determine the distance. In the final scene, in the 100th room, he becomes even more aggressive and moves faster. But the mechanics are the same. Silence is your main ally. Screech. Screech is the one who gets on the nerves of even the most experienced players. He's not as loud or noticeable as Rush or Ambush, but that's exactly where his power lies. Screech is a small black creature with a huge white grin and round eyes that appears in the dark. And if you're playing without a lighter or vitamins, get ready. This parasite can jump right into your face. His attack is always accompanied by a quiet psst, which makes you instantly look around. The Screech mechanic is simple. He attacks only in dark rooms when the player stands still for too long. When you hear the sound, immediately turn in all directions until you see him. If you manage to look him straight in the eyes, he disappears, letting out a sharp squeak. But if you don't find him, you'll get bitten and lose part of your health. The best advice is to always keep a light source ready. Even a short flash from a lighter or lamp will make him retreat. Interestingly, Screech behaves as if he's playing with the player. He doesn't just want to kill, he's after your reactions, panic, and movements. According to the lore, He's considered a child of darkness, a creature born from the energy of corrupted rooms. He hunts not for survival, but for fun. Eyes. Eyes is one of the simplest but most insidious monsters indoors. You can recognize him right away. The room fills with a strange purple glow and a dull whisper can be heard in the air. In the middle of the room appears a cluster of glowing eyes, floating in the air and watching. They don't move, don't chase, and make no attack sounds. But if you look at them even for a moment, your health starts to drain instantly. The main rule: don't look directly at eyes. When you see the purple light, just lower your camera and move sideways or backward toward the door. Usually, the monster appears in empty rooms, so finding the exit isn't hard. If you need to grab a key or open a drawer, do it without raising your gaze. Eyes disappears on its own after the player leaves the room or passes a certain distance. Eyes has no footsteps or movement sounds, so beginners often die without understanding what happened. He cannot appear during other monsters' attacks, but sometimes becomes a harbinger of Seek's appearance. If you see eyes, it means the chase is near. According to the lore, eyes are remnants of the consciousness of past hotel guests who couldn't withstand its pressure and turned into pure observation. They don't need to kill. They just can't stand being looked at. Halt. Halt is one of the most unexpected monsters indoors, breaking the usual pace of the game. He appears rarely, usually in rooms with a long corridor and blue flickering. When the doors close, the world around turns dark blue, and the screen flashes with the text, "Turn around." That's when the encounter with Halt begins. His body is a ghostly figure with two white eyes that constantly appears behind the player, trying to get closer. To survive, you need to turn around every time the warning appears on the screen. If you keep running forward, Halt will catch up and deal massive damage. The right strategy is to move in short bursts. A few steps forward, turn around, a few steps back. Usually you have to endure about 8 to 10 such direction changes, after which the room returns to normal. During Halt's attack, the corridor constantly changes length, creating the illusion of an endless path. It's useful to rely on sound cues. When you hear hissing or a splash, it means the monster is teleporting behind you. The main thing is not to panic and not to run chaotically, because Halt instantly reacts to the wrong direction. According to the lore, he is an anomaly inside the hotel that distorts space and time, forcing the player to wander in a closed loop until they learn to obey the rules of the room. Dupe. Dupe is one of the newest and most insidious monsters indoors, which doesn't attack directly, but makes players make mistakes. His main mechanic is connected to doors. When you reach the next passage, sometimes two doors with different numbers appear in the room. One is real, and the other is fake, created by Dupe. If you choose the wrong one, the creature jumps out and deals heavy damage, often leaving the player with almost no health. To avoid the attack, you need to remember the number of the previous room. If, for example, the last one was 34, then the correct one is 35. You can also use visual hints. Real doors usually have a slight flicker or a sound from the lock, while the fake one looks slightly dimmer. If you still open the fake door, Dupe appears instantly. It's a purple-blue creature with a large mouth and bulging eyes that lets out a short, sharp scream. Dupe can appear several times in a row, especially in the later stages of the game. In dark rooms, his traps become almost invisible, so it's better to use a lighter or vitamins to navigate faster. According to the lore, Dupe is the manifestation of the hotel's deceit, a creature that copies things to confuse guests and prevent them from escaping. Hide. Hide is not a typical monster that attacks in the corridors. He lives inside closets and under beds, and he's the one who punishes players who hide for too long. His appearance isn't accompanied by a specific sound. Everything starts with the screen darkening, a red effect appearing around, and the flashing text, "Get out." If you don't leave immediately, Hide literally pushes you out of the hiding spot, reducing your health by almost half. The main thing to know, the closet isn't a safe place forever. After 8 to 10 seconds of staying inside, the hide effect begins. To avoid this, you should wait until rush or ambush passes and get out as quickly as possible. If you exit early, the monster outside won't have time to return, but even a 1-second delay can be fatal. Hide activates only when the player stays in a hiding spot longer than necessary. So in cases with ambush, it's best to enter the closet, wait for him to pass, get out, and then hide again when he returns. A useful tip: listen to the sounds. When it gets quieter around, that's the signal you can leave. According to the lore, Hide is the manifestation of the fear of hiding itself, the energy of the hotel that forces players not to stay in one place for too long, maintaining a constant state of tension. Glitch. Glitch is one of the most unusual monsters indoors. Not exactly an enemy, but rather a system anomaly of the game. He appears when the player falls too far behind the team or when a room fails to load properly. At such moments, the screen begins to distort. Colored static appears. The sound becomes broken, and an electronic glitch is heard. Then the player is suddenly teleported forward, and a blurred figure with a white outline appears on the screen. That's Glitch. His attack is untypical. He doesn't chase, but deals damage during the teleport. In solo play, the player takes about half health damage, and in multiplayer modes, Glitch simply moves the lagging player closer to the team without killing them. Thus, he serves as a kind of error correction, while still remaining a part of the game's lore. According to internal descriptions, Glitch is a fragment of the hotel's broken code that appears when space begins to collapse. His body is a constantly flickering image that changes shape with every frame. You don't need to fight him. The main thing is not to fall behind and not to stay in a room for too long. If you see strong glitches or delays in rendering, it's a sign that Glitch is already near. Jack. Jack is one of the rarest and most unpredictable monsters in Doors. He doesn't have his own spawn zone and doesn't hunt the player specifically. Instead, Jack acts as a jump scare, appearing in closets or rooms with red lighting. Most often, he can be encountered when the player hides from rush or ambush. Instead of a safe hiding spot, Jack suddenly jumps out, filling the screen with red and black animation and a sharp sound. Although he doesn't deal damage, his appearance blocks the closet for a short time, which can cause the player to die from another monster if they don't manage to find a new place to hide. There's only about a 1% chance to encounter Jack in a closet, so most players see him only a few times throughout the game. Sometimes he also appears as Hallway Jack, when the room suddenly fills with fog and red light. In this case, he simply stands in the center, blocking the path, and disappears after a few seconds. A useful tip: never linger near closets longer than necessary. If the game starts acting strange, dimmed light, silence before entering, there's a chance Jack is inside. His appearance has no pattern, so it's impossible to predict. According to the lore, Jack is the remnant of one of the former hotel guests who died during a rush attack and is now stuck between worlds, endlessly repeating the moment of his death. Timothy. Timothy is one of the smallest but most startling monsters in Doors. He's a small spider that appears inside drawers and chests when the player opens them. His appearance lasts only a second. He jumps onto the screen with a sharp creaking sound, filling the entire field of view, and then immediately disappears. The damage from him is minimal, about 5 to 10% of health, but the scare is guaranteed, especially if you're used to mindlessly searching through all the drawers in a row. The chance of encountering Timothy is very low, about 1 in 200 openings. However, he can appear several times in one run if you're unlucky. In the game, he's considered a joke monster since he doesn't aim to kill, only to frighten. However, in some cases, his appearance can be dangerous. If you're searching for a key in a dark room after a rush or ambush attack, Timothy's jump can make you lose orientation and precious seconds. It's impossible to avoid him completely, but you can reduce the risk. Open drawers carefully, standing a bit farther from them. In multiplayer modes, Timothy attacks only the one who opened the drawer, so other players see only the victim's reaction. According to the lore, Timothy is an ordinary resident of the hotel who adapted to life amid chaos and now guards his supplies from uninvited guests.